I just wanted to make sure that you listeners are listening to the Drapetomaniac podcast on doayamedia.com. You are, right?
Peace, family, and welcome to this edition of the Drapetomaniac podcast. This is Iyapo and
Angela. What up, though?
I am the HDIC, that is the head Drapetomaniac in charge.
And I am not the H-Dick.
You just have to say it. And we're here to have conversations on how to get off this plantation. Well, one of the reasons I'm doing the Drapetomaniac podcast like this is because Angela and I talk all the time, and we typically talk about the same thing all the time, if not most of the time. And I enjoy our conversations, and I think that they're edifying, to be frank. So I told her that I wanted to just record another podcast with her. And so here we are.
And what did I say? When you said
that we talk about the same thing all the time.
Over and over again.
That's right. And like I told you, we're going to talk about it until somebody starts listening.
Well, how you know people aren't listening?
I know.
Listen.
Yeah. I know. So anyway, we might just be jumping back and forth around a lot of different subjects, but I mentioned to her, I don't know if anyone saw the new TV show, Superman and Lois. We watched that last night, and the show, I enjoyed it. I thought it was well made. I thought it was action packed and everything else. Has some nice twists in it, but there's a scene in it where there's a white girl and she's talking to this guy and he kisses her or whatever, and then her boyfriend shows up, and lo and behold, he's black. And I'm starting to have just such an issue with that. The propaganda is so obvious, where you can't look at TV shows or commercials where if there is a black man, he's either with a white woman or he's gay, or if he is with a black woman, then he's like no count. He's just like this lazy, shiftless, whatever. And if it's a black woman, she's either gay, or she's with a white man, or she's not with a man at all, and so on. And I just, just getting like really, really tired of it. But at the same time, when I'm looking at things out of Hollywood, I kind of know what to expect, So that's something we were discussing. And Angela also told me about a short video that she had recently seen. And it was about a job interview. But would you explain that video?
Yeah, I don't know if I can explain it succinctly. I might be better practiced since I told you about it. But a black guy, there's a white guy on the phone, and he's like, yeah, I got to get off the phone because, I'm about to have to start these interviews soon, blah, 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 blah. Then this black guy appears at the door, and he's like, is this Mr. So-and-so's office? And the white guy is like, oh, yeah, you got the food delivery? Just put it over there. And the black guy is like, yeah, no, I don't have food delivery. I'm here for an interview. Is this, they told me come down the hall and look for, Mr. So-and-so. And, the white guy, oh, well, what's your name? You're a half hour early. And, just proceeds to be an offensive, butthole just, to the guy. Have you ever been to jail? Oh, you went to this so-called prestigious university. How did you get in on a basketball scholarship? Oh, was it affirmative action? Just, offensive remark after offensive remark. And the black guy, no, sir. You can tell that he's, offended because the guy is being overtly offensive. And, the black guy is offended, but he keeps his cool and, is very, articulate and obviously a great candidate. We don't know who he's, competing with, but he's a great candidate. And at some point, the white guy is like, well, let's just cut to the chase. The job has been filled. And the black guy is like, well, I'm the first interview. I'm here early and I'm the first interview. How is the job filled? And the white guy eventually is like, well, you're just not a good fit. And then the white savior appears, who's the white guy's boss, who's the starter of the company. And this is, AJ, I've seen your resume. You're a star. You're great. You're wonderful. We're so excited that you're considering our company. And, let me see what position you're applying for. What a data entry level position. Oh no, we're going to make you the director of marketing. And then the white guy, but I thought I was up for that position. Well, you'll learn a lot from this black guy. He's, going to turn our company around. He's great. He's wonderful. You guys get to know each other. And the white savior leaves, and the black guy is like, hey, you see that box over there? And the white guy is like, what, you want me to pack my stuff and leave? And then the black guy says, no, you can't chase out darkness with darkness. You have to use light. And that whole expression offends me anyway, but just the idea is offensive on a secondary level. And, you can't solve hate with hate. You have to solve hate with love. And we're going to work together. And I'm going to teach you to be a human being through my goodness and devotion to kindness and generosity. I'm not going to be as bad as you are. I'm going to teach you to be better or whatever.
Right.
And I was just kind of the person who posted it up. I didn't know it's an elder, and she is she's involved with ATR. She's a Osun initiate. And, when she posted it up, the thing said, well, do you know what this is, or do you understand this? And I didn't really know what that meant. So I didn't know if she was posting it up like, do you understand this? Like, do you understand how important this lesson is? Or if she was posting it up like, do you understand how much BS this is? But, I usually don't even watch mess like that because I feel like I already know where it's going. But I was, I had already watched it. And then I'm like, we're not the ones who, I gave the comment, we're the ones who have been giving love for love to hate for 400 years. We haven't been out here, mistreating anybody or trying to mistreat anybody. All we've been trying to do is be right and kind and accepted into this BS evil, debauched system of, evilness. So I don't know what she was trying to say, but I'm kind of a little irritated behind it. Like, I just feel like more and more I notice, I'm just kind of irritable. Like, I understand that people are where they are in their consciousness and their belief systems. And I understand that we don't get to be where we are by accident. That there is, we are propagandized from before we are born with certain ways of thinking about the world. But I'm just irritated. I'm tired. I'm just like today, I'm ugh.
Right. It's very irritating. And one thing that happens is white people always draw this false equivalency where it's like, well, you hate us too, or you this, but black hate and white hate isn't the same thing. Black violence and white violence is not the same thing. Anything that they can say that they try to say that, we do the equivalent thing to them, or even to the point of calling black people racist. A black person cannot be a racist in the United States. I'm not even going to go all into that, but that's literally impossible. But that said, what the way that we feel about things, the way we perceive things, the way that we do things is not for nothing. We don't feel the way that we feel for nothing. We didn't just wake up in the morning and we, I dislike white people. I want to stay away from white people. Or I want to stay away from cops and all this stuff. No, it's because there's this long, extended, protracted history of all this stuff happening to you, and you're just reacting to it. So it's kind of like the discussion we had when I was saying that we're at war, and you disagreed. You said we're not at war because we're not fighting anybody. I mean, in a nutshell, that we're not fighting anybody, and it's.
I feel like we're under attack, definitely. Right, I'm not sure. I don't think we can be at war because we ain't fighting, but I don't know.
Well, that's the thing.
We definitely under attack.
Yeah, my perception is that we're under attack and we've had war waged upon us, so we have to fight, which puts us at war.
Right, and so, we do resist in different ways, so I don't know if that's considered fighting, or I don't know, because it's confusing. It's
right.
Yeah, because I feel like they're just constantly on us. They're constantly attacking us all day, every day, in every front, educationally, medically, economically, jobs, housing, spiritually. I mean, it's just like anything you can think of, commercials, telemedia, anything you can think of, any way you can think of for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, they've been attacking us. And I feel like... maybe we are at war. Maybe we're, I don't know.
Right, and
I feel like we're on the defensive.
And I still maintain that they feel like they have a tiger by the tail.
Mm-hmm. They do.
So, but that's the problem. Do they? Because they think they have a tiger by the tail, but what they actually have is like a bunny by the tail. If you let go of it, it's going to take off and scamper off and leave. But they're thinking that we're like them. That if the situation was reversed, say the situation was completely reversed, and our histories were totally different.
They would never. They would like how those Jewish people are like never forget.
Exactly.
Our what was it? 5 years of torture,
right?
And we have hundreds of years of torture throughout our contact with them.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. If the situation was reversed, they know that based upon their nature, if they was to get the boot off their neck, there would be hell to pay. There'd be the streets would run red with blood.
Yeah.
Every day. Night and day.
When we were watching Underground, there was a television show. I think it's on Hulu now, but I had seen that show about 18 times by the time we watched it together. But there's this one segment in it where they show an enslaved African who is on the run. They're part of the Underground Railroad, and they encounter the white savior couple. And it turns out that the husband...
The one that say the lie.
Yes. It turns out that the couple in the white savior... The husband in the white savior couple had been involved with selling the wife of one of the men. And he was pissed. And he decided he was going to get revenge or something. So he had them serving them dinner. He was, yelling at the man's wife. He ended up tying the white guy up and beating him, or having his wife beat him or whatever. Right. But I actually thought that was like a kind of a surprising beat in the show, just because I don't know if there is a legacy of that in our history. Like, I think we get free and we just be trying to build lives and live. We don't really be trying to get revenge and go back.
Right. There's not a legacy of that. I mean, there's an exception to every rule, but the way that character behaved is the way that they think all of us would behave.
And the only reason that character was behaving that way is because he ran into that particular guy.
So, I've always said, and I believe in my heart that they're not afraid of us. They're afraid of us based upon their perception of us, which is a mirror of them.
They're projecting. Yeah, they're projecting their type of their way of thinking or living on us.
Right, which everything about them is projection.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Yeah,
and so that's why they won't let us up. They let us up because they're scared to let us up.
Mm-hmm.
And without even looking at history, because history proves that if we get kind of out from under them, We just try to go on about our business
but
and
see,
build.
I think I want to loop back to that, because when I agreed, when I say, yeah, they do have a tiger by the tail, I think that from my theory and my perspective is that if you look at fear of white genetic annihilation or certain idea, like I feel like they have a tiger by the tail. We're powerful, we're strong, we're creative. When we get free and can do our thing, we just excel and do very well. And when you look at like, dang, how are they doing so well, given that I've been stepping on them and dogging them out for 400 years. I've been raping them, stealing them, stealing from them, demeaning them, stealing them, taking their children, breaking up their families, dogging them out, murdering them, humiliating them, raping them, cutting their balls off. I mean, I've been doing all of this and they can still outdo me. Exactly. So I kind of feel like that is their fear. And maybe their fear is that we would retaliate literally, but I think that our excellence or our resilience and just like, I don't even know if it's our excellence. I just feel like how we are is just how we are. Like, we're just black people. And I think that is the tiger. That's what they don't want to see. They want to see us.
Yeah, I agree. That makes me think of when I see old newspaper clippings or old pictures of the children that have to be walked into school with the National Guard flanking them. Lines of white people throwing stuff at them, calling them everything but a child of God, and all this, and threatening their very lives and so on. And then they end up graduating with honors under duress. And then you have these white students who just barely graduate
and have everything going for them.
Everything going for them, everything
on their side,
and they can just barely do it. And then you have these black people under straight up duress, and they're graduating with honors.
Yeah.
So yeah, your point's well taken. I think that is a fear.
Yeah, yeah. So and it may be I don't know, and I also I feel like in terms of like irritability, because sometimes we end up like, I get irritated and it's like we in this situation, so I don't know really the way out. But like sometimes I just wish I like didn't talk about white people or think about white people or deal with white people, or I don't like, sometimes we watching something and it's like, I don't want to see, if I never see another white person again, it'll be too soon.
But what's the saying we have here?
What?
Here they come.
Oh, and here they come. You just be trying to mind your own business.
And here they come.
And here they come.
You're on YouTube doing a live talking about baking a cake, and here they come. You
NIG job, whatever craziness, hatefulness,
monkey and banana
negativeness,
emojis, watermelon emojis, all this stuff. Here they come.
Here they come.
And you're trying your best.
Just minding your business.
To mind your own business.
You a little boy, I'm on the phone with my friend. I went and got some snacks from the store. And here you come, stalking me, following me, murdering me. Right. They always...
You're on a Zoom meeting with your family. Or teaching a class.
Teaching children.
Right. And here they come.
Right. Putting up penis emojis or whatever, drawings or just, they... And
they're good for that. I mean, it's just like the young man that just happened a few days ago. You didn't see the clip, but I was telling you about it. That was walking home from work at Walmart.
Yeah.
And here they come.
Yeah.
That's here in our house. That's pretty much our saying. Here they come. Because you straight up just trying to mind your own business. And I can't, as far as like racist or white supremacist sites or what, I can't even tell you what they do. I can't tell you what they do. I can't tell you who's on what, because I don't go to them. Go to them for what? What for what?
Right.
So it's but shoot, let one of us start a live stream, or let us start talking. One of us start talking about here they come. You can't leave us alone. Obsessed. 100% obsessed. And probably for the reasons that you had just outlined.
Sometimes they be trying to check in to see if they're strategies and campaigns are working, because I feel like a lot of times they like getting the feedback when we're like, you're hurting my feelings, you're making my, I think they like, hearing, because they be like, yeah, good, that's my intention, that's my goal, thank you for the feedback.
Right.
But yeah, a lot of times they check in and we don't be as demeaned. That's like, they see you smiling and laughing, they be mad at that, because it's like, well, what do you have to smile and laugh at? Like that Nina Simone song, Pirate Jenny. Right. Have you ever heard that song?
Yeah, I'm sure I've heard it.
What you got to laugh at now? What it's
well,
like,
also that poem.
What poem?
I don't remember if it was by brother Maya Angelou.
Still I Rise.
Yeah, Still I Rise. Because he's like, why are you mad at me? Just because I'm happy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I'm feeling good about myself. What? We just out here. And here they come. I ain't done enough yet. Well, let me throw some watermelon emojis in there and try and make you feel bad.
Right. or at the very least disrupt what you're talking about. Or be some kind of a disruption or
get the attention on me.
Or get some attention, yeah. Mm-hmm. And do what is in my nature, which is to be a freaking vampire. Right.
And that's what I was just going to say, because I think they are energy vampires. Mm-hmm. Vampires. They're maybe not just energy, but literal vampires. They want our energy. They want our attention. They want us focused on them. They want us talking about them. They want us watching them.
We're doing now.
Right. You saw where I was going.
But that's part of the problem, though, is when you're in a system and it's a closed system, how do you get away from it?
Well, I think we've talked about this before. I think I've even talked about this on your blog before. I think that I don't know if you can totally escape, but I feel like there are steps that we can take to get away from them, even in the context of a closed system. Like in your house, is your house reflecting your black self? Is your house reflecting your black value system? Is your Facebook page reflecting? Do your group of friends, does what you spend your money on, does what you spend your time on, does what you spend your energy on, your conversations on, is what you're watching? Are you, like in the space, in the things that you have, some control over? Does it look like is that, if somebody looked at your Netflix thing, does that look like a black person's Netflix thing or any American's Netflix thing?
Right. So. And the point is well taken again. Because, I say it at the beginning of every podcast, having conversations about how to get off this plantation.
Yeah.
And that's part of getting off the plantation. That's part of separating. And my whole belief about separating is that it doesn't immediately mean a physical separation, if at all. Because what good is it if I leave you and I'm in California, right? And I'm on the West Coast, you're on the East Coast, but yet I'm thinking about you all day long, right?
Irritate people talking about me all the time.
Right. I may as well be there with you.
Angela. And that Angela. But I can't stand it. Oh, Angela.
But what if we're in the same house and I avoid you? I don't really give much thought to you unless maybe I see you, and then don't even give too much thought to that way. I'm more separated then.
And so that's kind of like, I don't want to say the trick, but that's the process, asking, every day or whenever we think about it, how can I separate further than this? How can I separate further? How can I distance myself? How can I detach from this? How can I increase my freedom, increase my connection with myself and my family, my community, and things related to me and my growth and development.
Well, part of detaching from the system, I found, is first recognizing what systems you're connected to, and in terms of like the food that you eat, I genuinely consider processed foods to be the white man's food. that doesn't mean I still eat like potato chips and whatnot. But I still know that that's something that I need to, as much as possible, separate from. Mm-hmm. Separating from a system of materialism. That is, I think, maybe the biggest one that helps get you loose.
So do you feel that you were very attached to a system of materialism?
I do.
Mm-hmm. How did that show up?
In that it manifested itself in like my video collection, manifested myself in using Alexa and being like a tech head. Mm-hmm. I'm not even close to the tech head I was when we met. Mm-hmm. And even several years before that, I was like all teched out. Mm-hmm. I mean, if I couldn't talk to it and have it answer me back, mm-hmm. That I didn't want anything to do with it. I just wanted everything to be tech. Mm-hmm. And then, Samantha, the car, mm-hmm. I was all attached to that, mm-hmm. paying all that money for it and all that insurance and all this. And until I got loose from the rhythm, I was like, that was crazy.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you talk about as you get loose from something and get away from it, and then you start to process it differently when mm-hmm. you're separated from it. Right. But somehow you have to be like this month. We had mentioned, I guess, last week or the week before, whatever, that we did vegan for February mm-hmm. with I think it's the Black Vegetarian Society or something that sponsored it or whatever, although I didn't take advantage of anything they offered. But one of the things that I noticed, well, you mentioned it maybe about 2 or 3 days ago, something about how your sinuses, you're like, my sinuses feel open. I mean, I don't know.
Way open. Uh-huh.
Right. And then I started noticing that there was still like mucus like coming out of my system. And it's sort of like being away from dairy for a month. I feel like I'm starting to be able to observe things that I wouldn't have been able to observe if we hadn't made the commitment to separate even for a short period of time.
Right.
So that's one thing. And then in terms of, I don't know if I've ever been materialistically oriented, but I was noticing, you and I were talking the other day, and I was thinking, I think it's whenever we get to talking about Detroit or whatever, I think I notice how much Detroit pride I have. Mm-hmm. I noticed, but then I started noticing that like I have a lot of pride or a lot of attachment, and I think it's pride in in certain things that I've been connected to. Mm-hmm. So I feel very a certain way like I grew up in Detroit. I feel like I went to Cass Technical High School. Mm-hmm. I went to Barnard College, part of Columbia University. Like I feel like there are these things that I'm attached to, or these ideas that I'm attached to, and I was just kind of reflecting on my attachment to them. I did notice when I first went to college that some of the young black folks and brown folks who had come through prestigious boarding schools were I noticed that they were very, their identity was strongly tied to the institution. And I didn't feel the same way about being at Columbia that it seemed like other people felt. Like it's like that was like all of who they were. And if they weren't at Columbia, they would be a piece of garbage that should be bought up and thrown on the street. I didn't feel like that. But the other day I was thinking about when I was growing up, and my mom, who was an attorney, she wouldn't really regularly tell people, hey, I'm a lawyer. It might come up because someone else would mention it, but she wouldn't mention it. Right. And I remember as a child, there were several situations where I felt like, well, she should tell them that she's a lawyer and get them up off of her, or get them to respect her in the proper way, because they're looking at her and looking at me and they think she's a teenage mother and they don't know that she's, but that wasn't really her style. Right. And I noticed it and I appreciated it over the years and incorporated it in certain ways.
Well, that just made me laugh. Every time I get a chance, I'm like, yeah, my son is a supervisor at such and such, and my, one of my daughters is a CPA, my other daughter is a psychologist, and I take pride in it. Mm-hmm. What do you want from me? Mm-hmm. And my other son's one of the strongest work ethics I've ever seen. I mean, period. Mm-hmm. And when I hear you talk about Detroit, I don't I don't feel a way about it. As a matter of fact, you know how interesting I find it. And that's because, and the thing is, when you talk about Detroit, it's typically about conscious Detroit. Mm-hmm. And the black community in Detroit, not a whole bunch of foolishness, because there's definitely a whole bunch of white stuff that goes on there.
And there's a bunch of black foolishness that goes on there.
Right, but the things that you talk about are tied to the black community.
I feel like there's a spirit of creativity and fight and hustle that is not like anywhere else.
Right.
But, yeah.
Especially the fight part.
Why? Because Judge Joe Brown used to always say that mess.
I ain't thinking about Judge Joe Brown.
Is it Judge Joe Brown? Somebody.
I think it's Judge Mathis.
Oh, but always say you must be from Detroit.
Yeah, every time a guy says a woman pull a knife on him or whatever, he asks if they're from Detroit.
And I've never put a knife on it. I've never even seen anybody pull a knife on anyone. Yet. Right. That's not. But what I was thinking about is I remember when I met my first husband, he's like, people always ask, what do you do? As if that's the first thing they want to know about you. And as if that's the most important thing about you.
Right.
Your career defines who you are, your value, your worth. And I remember trying, like since then, I always try to ask, well, what are you passionate about? Or how do you like to occupy your time? So that I try to know the person in a way that is in alignment with how they value themselves.
Right.
And outside of any institution that they may be associated with, unless it's something that they feel strongly about. But, I was just thinking about it in that context, like, maybe not necessarily with that aspect of Detroit, but like Cass, the slave holding, person who the school was named after, like that I went to Cass, it was like a difficult, you had to apply, it's like there are certain things that I feel like are a reflection of me, but like, as I think about them, I'm like, well, I don't really know if they really, I feel like it's something I need to check myself on.
Right. All I can say is like, on the subject of materialism, which is what led us down this road. With materialism, I'm more fixated upon the consumerism that after enslavement was so-called eradicated, they had to find several different ways to re-enslave people. Mm-hmm. Not the least of which is the prison industrial complex.
And the other one is debt.
Mm-hmm. And so they keep pushing this stuff in front of you. You need bigger, newer, better, faster, shinier, blah, 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 blah. And spend all this money and get into all this debt. Mm-hmm. And now you got to go to a job you hate.
Mm-hmm. And be abused and dogged out.
And can't leave.
And don't feel like you can leave.
Or even if it's a job you love and you still feel like I can't leave. Mm-hmm. You're tied to it for a fraction of what you're worth, mm-hmm. plus a fraction of what your time and life is worth. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I look at these people who have gone off the grid and they're living out in the woods and all this, they're happy as they can be. Mm-hmm. And there's one guy I was watching in particular, a white guy. In particular, he's like just living in this thing that he built, and it was nice enough. And he said that he gets, he lives off something like $100 a month, something like that. I mean, some crazy amount of money because he goes and forages for his own food. He makes his own electricity or heat and all this stuff. And he's like, I need what from who? Mm-hmm. He was creating this little booklet or whatever, and he would sell those. And he's like,
I remember we watched that video together.
Yeah.
I watched it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he takes care of his needs from that and doesn't need a lot because he doesn't have a mountain of debt. Mm-hmm. He's not making $5 million and spends $10 million a year.
Mm-hmm. And I think even if you don't have debt, I think that if you feel that, and see, that's one of the things, but that's one of the things that, I've kind of come to realize that a lot of times when you're tied into these values and ideas, the values and ideas are like societal values. Like everyone wants a white picket fence and 2.5 children. But see, everybody doesn't want a white picket fence and 2.5 children.
Right.
Some people might want no children. Some people might want 10 children. What do you want? How do I come to understand and connect with what I want, what I value, what's important to me, what makes me happy, instead of, this propaganda that gets pushed on me, these ideas that get pushed on me about what's normal and what I should want and what everyone wants and what everyone thinks. And, so like the process, we're running out of time, but the process of kind of like, I feel like part of separating, at least in my experience, is getting more and more connected to myself.
Right.
And my ideas and my values and what I think is important and what I like and what I enjoy. Mm-hmm. And, and it's like, I have found that like, what I need is very modest, in the context of this world. Right. And some of it is very extravagant. Like, I feel like I need to be by the ocean. I need to see waves every day. Right. For some people, that might be extravagant, but, that's just like, that's something that, feeds me. That's something that, it nourishes me. Right. For somebody else, it might be the mountains, or it might be the forest, or, it might be, being with children. It might, who knows? But each person is individual. You can't rely on society to tell you who you are and what your values are, or you're going to end up connected to some BS.
I'll close out with saying this, and it dovetails with that, is that I just want to be free. Mm-hmm. I want to be free, and I want to be at peace. I don't want to hurt anybody.
Free. You are at peace.
Well, you know what I mean.
I'm affirming it, baby. I know what you mean, and I affirm it.
But I don't want to hurt anybody.
You're not
hurting anybody. You're
helping anybody. You're helping people. You're safe.
Let me talk
You're
so these
service.
people can hear what I'm saying.
Baby, you're self-conscious.
But I do.
You are.
I don't want to hurt anybody. I don't want anybody hurting me. Just be left alone and be at peace to live. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what most people want. Mm-hmm. I mean, honestly, I don't mean just black people. I think that black people, white people, everybody just wants to be at peace and go about their business.
All God's children. Now, the devil's children might be a little different.
Truth.
All God's children. What is it? All God's children want what?
I got shoes. You got shoes.
All God's children got shoes. Oh, got shoes. Oh, is that what the expression is? Uh-huh. So if you don't have shoes, you ain't one of God's children?
I don't know about that.
Lord have mercy. All right, baby.
But anyway, we've been on here a while, and getting ready to close up. I want to thank you for listening to another Draped in Maniac podcast. This is Iyapo and
Angela, and you are free, you are fabulous, you are wonderful.
I'm the HCIC. That's the head Draped in Maniac in charge. Wishing you peace and blessings, safety, security, and sanity through separation. And until this time next week, the same time next week, I, and maybe we will see you on the run.
Run. Run away from the BS.
I heard that. Devils.
And thank you again for listening to the Draped Maniac podcast. Tune in next week at doiamedia.com. DOIAMEDIA.com. And again, we'll catch you on the run. Peace.